For making your double brim, you need to provisionally cast on. And then that yarn will be removed and the brim will be folded over and knit together. So you've got to use a yarn that you put on your needle that then can be removed later. And it's very important that you use a cotton yarn. It's very important that you use a similar yarn to the weight that you're using. I like to use Rowan's Summer Light DK for my provisional cast-ons, cotton. If you use a wool, then the wool fibers can adhere to your other wool fiber and it makes it difficult to get out. You need to have your needle, which is a size 7 needle. And then you need to have a crochet hook that's similar. This is a similar width. This is a G hook, an H would work as well. It's not super critical. I'm going to be doing a white hat with a double brim. And so I'm going to choose a color that's different that when I get ready to pull it out, I'll be able to see it. There's no need to use a long tail. You simply make a slip knot and put it on your crochet hook like this. Tighten it down so it's like you've got a stitch on your crochet hook. And then what you're going to do is you're going to hold, I hold my yarn as if I were knitting. So I put the yarn behind the needle and I hold it like I'm continental knitter. Those of you who've been doing the stranded knitting, it'd be the same way. The yarn is behind the needle. And what you do is you dip over, get yarn over, bring the stitch through. The first one's going to be a little bit wobbly and tighten it up a little bit. And then you have to take the yarn and put it behind. So again, getting everything started is always a bit of a challenge. There we go. Okay, then you'll dip over again, yarn over, pull the stitch through. Yarn behind, dip over again, pull the stitch through. Yarn behind, dip over again, pull the stitch through. And see how we're casting on, basically, onto our working needle. Notice how much loop I've got over here. Where I've seen people have issue with this is when you tighten it down. You know, it's important to relax in everything you do with your knitting because it will make your life much easier. It makes it easier to pull it through that loop without tightening it down. This is all going to be gone. There's no need for it to be like super secure. So you just keep doing it. I like to do this vertically. So you can see how I've got the needle pointing vertically and I'm working up and over the needle to grab the yarn over and bring it through and create the stitch. So we're going to do 100 and I'm going to do 100 and let's check this, 108 of these stitches. And then I do a little chain at the end. So I'll come back and show you that. All right, I've cast on my 108. Sometimes if I'm joining the round, I cast on an extra stitch, but you would not do that for this. What you do is at the end, you're going to chain. 1, 2, just loosely, 3, 4, 5. Then you'll clip that. Sorry. Clip it and pull it through. This will be where you will unravel. And so you can see on this end, I've got a long chain. This end, there is no chain. What I do like to do is I will put a marker on this end. I know it seems really obvious right now, but trust me, when it comes time to unravel it, it's just nice to have this little guy stuck here. And we've all got such cute little stitch markers. You can put them in and have them. And so now what we will do is we will knit across this with our yarn. So you don't join it in the round. You don't do any of that right now. You will just simply knit across that. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll show you how we join in the round and start our work. So how do you start? You just simply put your yarn behind, knit into the first stitch that you created, pull through and slide off. It'll be loose. Just keep doing a few more. Tighten it up. It doesn't have to be super tight. Remember, the blue yarn is going to be removed. And so you just knit across this. Do not do a knit one, purl one, which is what we will be doing. If you do that, it makes it hard to pull out. So just knit across this initial. You just want to get the stitches up and engaged in your provisional cast on. Knit across and then we'll join in the round. All right, I've added the yarn to the provisional, and you can see that it's just really, it looks really big, but it is 108 stitches. And I'm on a 40-inch needle and 40-inch cord. And what we'll do is you count 54 stitches, and then I counted 54 stitches here. And then you bend your cord, and that's your loop. That's your loop that you're pulling out. So you're gonna pull it out, and then you're gonna get the needles, the stitches up onto the needle with the cord hanging out. So you'll scooch these stitches up here and get them up, and then I'll do the same over here, and then I'll show you how we get started. All right, I've got 54 stitches here and 54 stitches here, and I'm just holding the needles together like this. What's super, super important, and it's really fiddly, especially lots of times I jump these over and join these, and then I can really make sure that I'm not twisted. But I'm not doing that because it makes it hard for it to take when you go to take it out. And what you've got to do is you've got to check and double check. So I call these kind of the butts, the inside. You can see like the purl bump here. I call those the butts. I make sure they're all together. And then I also make sure that this runs, that this is not twisted, because if it's twisted, you'll have to take it all out. Okay, it looks good. And then I hold the needles close together because I'm going to pull out that back needle to begin working. So a nice thing to do sometimes for this provisional cast on is to work on a 16-inch, and then you don't have to worry about this. But I wanted to show you that how it can be done with a magic loop. And so you're going to bring this out, and then we're just going to get started. And the thing that's important to know, I put that yarn up and over the back of the needle. I pull the needle out, and I start with a knit. And this is going to be loose because the yarn was added here. This is all going to come out, not the white yarn, but the blue yarn. And it's all going to resolve itself when we join the brim. So if it's loose like this, it's okay. So I'm going to pull this. Even if it's loose from my join over here to the back side, it's okay as well. And so then I'm going to do my knit one, purl one, all the way across. I'll make the turn and do the back side of it, and we'll take a look at how this is going to be loose, this join over here. It's not like doing a traditional hat where it needs to be tight, because it will come undone, and that'll make more sense once we take the yarn out and put the brims together. I've knit and purled across the first 54 stitches. I'm at the end, and I'm ready to turn for my magic loop. And you can refer to the magic loop video for this as well. But I pinch, and then I pancake, or I turn it, hand it off, and then I push the needle up onto, the stitches up onto the needle. And again, this is that first round, and so I'm just going to kind of make sure that I'm not twisted. It should not be twisted, but this is just the time to check, so you don't get too far down and realize you're not going to be able to do that. I finish with a purl, throw the yarn up and over that back needle, pull the back needle out to begin to work, and I want to cinch it up here. So this is a knit one, and then a purl one. And it's important to cinch this one up because this is your in the round portion of your hat. The other one we can fix a bit, and I'll show you that here in a minute, how that's going to look. And now I'll go across this needle doing the knit one purl. Okay, I've made it all the way around, and I know it appears as it's really big, doesn't hardly look like it's going to be a brim. You have to trust me that your 1 by 1 rib will shrink up, and after I've done this for a while, you'll see how it has become. So now I'm ready to start again. And again, there's quite a bit of gap here from that first time. And so I'm going to work even this second round. So I pull the needle out, and then I knit, and I'm going to work to keep this one tighter. Not so concerned about that first one. Again, that will make sense when we take it off. So you continue working this brim for 5 inches, and then we will come back and I'll show you how you take the blue cotton yarn out and how you join for your double brim, which will provide for extra warmth. As you recall, I did the provisional cast on with the cotton smooth yarn. That will make it easier to take out. I've knit my 5 inches, and now I'm ready to fold this up. And what we will be doing is we will be knitting stitch for stitch. So I've got my original project, the original part on the magic loop. What I sometimes like to do, because you've got to have a second needle, is I will put the pickup stitches on the 16-inch. If you get 2 magic loops going on here, it can make it kind of cumbersome to do that. So what we're going to show you is how to take these stitches off and put them onto this needle. So I put the little marker here so that I would know I've got the long chain here. I'm not going to try to take it out this direction. If you have done your provisional cast on correctly, this will come out easily. And so we'll take this out, and then we will work to unravel the provisional cast on. So you just got to take the chain and get the chain to come out, and it should just begin to pull out. Should. Take one more. Let's see. Kind of got to get it started here. All right, so now I've got it. So then it will just simply unravel. Now, what you want to be careful, what you could do is you could just pull this all out, unzip it out. But with this superwash yarn, it collapses a little bit more. So I like to take it out stitch by stitch. So you can kind of see that I'm getting ready. There is that stitch that if I were to take out, if I were to unravel that's going to be a stitch. So I just kind of tension my yarn like I would if I was provisional knitting. I tension the cotton yarn that I'm going to pull out, and I pull it out stitch by stitch. And you can put your needle in first and then pull out to release that. Put your needle in first, and if you put it in from behind, then you're getting the stitches oriented right. So the stitches, we like them to set left to right. Although when we get ready to knit this, I might have to turn them around. And that's okay if that happens. We'll take a look when we get around to that. But they sit on your needle with the right leg in front. Sorry, not left to right leg in front. And so I like to pick up from behind. And so I just am going to do this one by one instead of just unzipping. But you can just kind of see how fast that goes to take out the provisional cast on. So we'll come back when I get this all up on the needle, and we'll talk about what the next step is. All right, I've got the stitches captured, and I'm down to the last 2, and I wanted to show you because there's always one, and then there's always one more that's kind of buried down there, and it's easy to just kind of let that one go. So you want to get that, and then you just got to pull your yarn out. And so I've got I've got it on the 16-inch, and then I've got it on the magic loop. Now, what I'll do next is I will count these and make sure I've got 108 and 108 because we're going to knit each stitch together. And you can kind of see some of these I got on wrong, some of them I got on right. One of the things you could do is you could go around and make sure they're oriented right. I just do it as I go, but you'd certainly be welcome to do that. And you'll want to put a marker here so that you know that this is your beginning of your round, because that will match then to our beginning of our round that we have here. So go ahead and get your stitches counted, and then we'll start to knit them together. All right, now we're ready to fold the brim so that we can start to knit the stitches together. This is where your working yarn is. Your working yarn is on the needles that you last finished. And so that has got to be folded to the inside so that when we're ready to work, our working yarn is there. So this is the awkward phase of this. You've got to kind of just bring your needles up in and fold this up and in. And you just kind of pull those needles up, tuck it in. It's not the easiest to show here. And you'll get your magic loop up here. And you basically want to get them kind of lined up. So I'll push my magic loop on, get this back here. Oh, ready to go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the needle around to work. I'm going to use the magic loop. You could pull the 16-inch. Well, it's not as easy to pull the 16-inch. You'd have to work round and round. So I do like to do this on the magic loop. This is your tail, and that's okay. I'll hide that once I've got it worked together. So this is going to be the awkward part. Here is your working yarn, and you're going to knit stitch for stitch together. You're not knitting and purling anymore. You're just knitting. So you're going to go into the stitch on the front needle, and you just pull this little fourth needle down, and you go in just as if you're to knit, and you knit those two together, and you pull them off the needle. Sorry about that needle sticking out. He's a small guy, so I can't hide him. Okay, now I'm going to do the next stitch. So I'm going to knit into, and he's on there wrong. So I'm going to knit through the back loop. Did you know that if it's on there wrong, you can knit through the back loop and that'll reorient it. And then I'm going to give it a good snug up. This guy's right, this guy's right. And you're just going to keep going one for one all the way around. You do not change your needles. You use the same number 7 that you used. I'm a loose knitter, and I did this whole hat on the needles that it was designed on, the 7s. Especially, we're going to get ready to do our color work, and that's on an 8. But for joining the brim, you'll just go 7 to 7. And what you'll find is that once you get a few stitches done, it gets much easier because it'll all be on one needle again. But you just keep going like this all the way around. Now, when you get to the magic loop part, you've got to make that turn just like you would for a magic loop. So it's going to be awkward for a bit, but once you get it done, you'll be flying again. I finished that front side of the magic loop, and so now you just simply do what you do for magic loop. You're going to push the stitches up. I'm working on the small 16-inch circular here, which will just be to work across the back. Then I'm going to pull those stitches around, the needle around, and remember how we go over our loop. Not super critical here, but it's just always good to get in the habit of that. And now I'll continue knitting these stitches together on the back side, and we will be joined shortly. Okay, I have joined my brims. You can see that they're joined, and I'm back on my magic loop. Got my marker here. I don't really need it because I know with my magic loop where my beginning around is, but it's kind of nice. One of the things you'll notice is when you switch and do that one, the first round one, you're switching to your color, your needle A, or I'm sorry, 8 needle, thinking colors and needles. So you will switch, and it's kind of hard because you're trying to get those stitches up. But now that once they're engaged, we're ready to go.